When the Galactic Empire summoned Earth's leaders, the message was wrapped in the cold arrogance of 1,000 conquered worlds. Across every communication channel, the transmission was clear. Humanity was to surrender its fleets, dismantle its defenses, and pledge allegiance to the Emperor. Any refusal would mean annihilation. The words echoed across every nation, every orbital station, every colony that circled distant suns. The Empire expected fear. They expected trembling. But instead, when the broadcast ended, the human council chamber was silent for a moment, then filled with laughter. It wasn't nervous laughter. It was the deep rolling sound of disbelief mixed with amusement. To the Empire's representatives, watching from their shimmering capital in another arm of the galaxy, the sight was infuriating. To humans, it was simply absurd that anyone thought they could demand Earth's submission after everything humanity had endured just to survive. The Empire had never faced a species like them. The Empire's envoys were mechanical beings and towering figures of organic power, their armor gleaming with the pride of a civilization that had ruled the stars for millennia. They had conquered empires before humanity had even built its first rocket. Their history was full of worlds that folded at the first sight of their fleets. So when they appeared in orbit around Earth, they thought it would be the same story once again. But humans didn't react like others. Instead of panic, they sent a single ship to meet the Imperial flagship. The Empire's admirals expected a negotiation vessel, something humble and unarmed. What arrived was a warship painted in dark steel and streaked with scars of old battles, a relic of humanity's wars, yet still breathing power. Its engines glowed like the fury of 1,000 storms. As the human ship approached, the Empire's commander opened a wide band channel. "Submit your world and be spared," he declared, his voice layered with mechanical authority. "Resist, and your species will be reduced to ash. You are facing the might of 10,000 worlds. You cannot win." The human captain leaned back in his chair, eyes calm. His crew waited silent but smiling. Then, in a tone almost playful, the captain replied, 10,000 worlds, you say? That sounds like a good warm-up." The Empire's sensors recorded laughter again from the human ship. It wasn't bravado, it was confidence carved from history. The humans had fought extinction more times than any other known species. The frozen silence of Mars, the radiation storms of early colonies, the vacuum of deep space, they had overcome all of it. To them, the Empire's threats were just another challenge. The Empire fired first. A barrage of plasma beams and guided annihilation bursts struck the human ship. For a moment, it disappeared from the sensors, then emerged unscathed, shield flaring with defiant energy. The crew didn't flinch. Instead, the ship adjusted its course and accelerated directly toward the flagship. The Empire had expected retreat or negotiation. What they got was a head-on charge. Every Imperial ship turned its weapons toward the approaching vessel, but the human ship moved faster than anything they had ever tracked. It wasn't using the Empire's gravitic drives, it was something entirely new. The Empire's scientists would later call it the pulse drive, a technology that twisted local gravity fields instead of fighting them. The human vessel danced between energy blasts like a shadow wrapped in light. When it fired, it was not with brute power, but with precision. A beam of compressed ions tore through the flagship's shields like glass. The Empire's communications flickered into chaos. Their fleet had never been breached by a single ship before. Within minutes, half their formation was in disarray. The human captain's voice echoed again across the channel. "You came here thinking we'd kneel. We don't kneel. Not to empires, not to gods, not to extinction itself." The Empire tried to reorganize. Reinforcements warped in from nearby sectors, creating a ring of warships that filled the orbit around Earth. Their combined firepower could vaporize a moon. But when the next volley came, the sky erupted with light. Not from the Empire's guns, but from dozens of new human ships emerging from hidden stations across the solar system. They weren't elegant. They weren't symmetrical like the Empire's polished vessels. They looked rough, industrial, forged in the heat of necessity rather than design. But they carried a kind of ferocity the Empire couldn't comprehend. Humanity didn't build ships to impress. They built them to survive. The fleets clashed above Earth in a storm of fire. The Empire's admirals shouted orders, their formation breaking apart as human ships moved unpredictably, weaving through enemy lines like hunters who had memorized every weakness. They didn't fight with the rigid precision of the Empire. They fought like improvisers, each ship acting on instinct, each commander adapting faster than machines could process. When one human ship was destroyed, the rest didn't retreat. They closed ranks using debris as cover, turning wreckage into weapons. Their tactics were wild, flexible, and completely alien to the Empire's way of war. Soon the Empire's fleets began to falter. Their long-distance command protocols failed under constant jamming. Their shields overheated under focused human strikes. The humans had learned quickly, targeting reactors, navigation cores, and communication hubs with unerring accuracy. From the Empire's perspective, this was impossible. No species had ever adapted this fast. In the command chamber of the Imperial flagship, chaos filled the air. Reports came in. Entire fleets vanishing from sensors, weapons failing, ships disappearing into hyperspace without command authorization. Humanity had found a way to infiltrate their systems mid-battle, rewriting protocols in real time. The Empire's commander stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. Back on Earth, human engineers were laughing again. Because, one of them said, "We built half our technology on duct tape, desperation, and bad coffee. Do you really think your standardized systems are ready for that kind of creativity?" When the final wave came, the humans unleashed something the Empire hadn't even known existed. A weapon hidden deep beneath the moon's surface. The solar lance. It drew power from the sun itself, focusing it through orbital lenses and magnetic conduits. The beam that struck the Empire's flagship was silent, almost beautiful, a column of pure light stretching from the heart of the solar system. When it faded, nothing remained of the flagship but drifting dust. The rest of the Imperial fleet broke formation and fled. Their commanders screamed for retreat, but many ships didn't make it. Humanity pursued them past the edge of the system, ensuring none would return to report weakness to their masters. The battle ended not with a negotiation, but with silence, the quiet aftermath of impossible victory. Across the galaxy, rumors spread like wildfire. The Empire had faced a primitive world and been humiliated. Species long oppressed by Imperial rule whispered the same question: "If humans can fight them, why can't we?" The Empire tried to suppress the news, but it was too late. The recording of the human captain's laughter circulated through black markets and rebellion networks. To countless enslaved worlds, that laughter became a symbol, not of arrogance, but of freedom. Weeks later, the Empire sent a delegation to Earth again. This time there were no threats, only questions. They wanted to know what humanity wanted: territory, alliances, tribute. The Human Council's answer was simple: "We don't want your empire. We want you to stop pretending you own the galaxy." The delegation left in silence. The Empire was shaken to its core. For the first time in its long history, it had met an opponent that didn't seek conquest or dominance, only respect, and the freedom to exist on its own terms. Years passed and the legend of that battle grew. Children across the colonies learned the story of the day humanity laughed at the Empire. It became part of their identity, a reminder that power without courage was meaningless. Scientists analyzed the recordings of the battle, studying the moment when the Empire's most advanced fleet fell to a world that had once been dismissed as insignificant. Philosophers debated what it meant for the balance of civilizations. Military academies rewrote their doctrines entirely, studying human unpredictability as a weapon of its own. And far away, deep within the Empire's command chambers, their strategists still studied the battle, frame by frame, transmission by transmission, searching for logic in what they had witnessed. But they never understood. They could calculate energy yields, drive speeds, and firepower ratios, but they could not measure the human spirit. They could not quantify defiance or laughter in the face of annihilation. They could not comprehend how a species that should have been crushed had instead stood its ground and turned the tide of the galaxy. For humanity, it was never about domination. It was about survival, unity, and the unshakable belief that no threat, no empire, no weapon, no fear could ever silence them again. And so when new envoys approached Earth decades later, seeking peace instead of conquest, they were welcomed, not as overlords, but as equals. The humans greeted them with calm smiles. And somewhere in the distance, as the stars shimmered over the blue planet, that same laughter seemed to echo again, a sound that the galaxy would never forget. It was the laughter that had shaken an empire. It was the sound of a species that refused to bow. It was the moment the galaxy learned what it truly meant to face humanity.